Hey everyone, it is me again, sitting here thinking about all the ways I messed up with money when I was younger. You know, when you are in your early 20s, there is this almost electric feeling, this urge to just make it big really fast. I remember it so clearly, this burning desire to skip all the boring parts and just jump straight to financial freedom. That is exactly what led me down a very rocky road, a road paved with what I thought were shortcuts but were actually just very expensive detours. My family, we are pretty normal, regular folks. There was no big inheritance waiting for me, no trust fund to fall back on. So the idea of making money quickly, it was incredibly appealing. I saw all these headlines, heard all these whispers about people getting rich overnight, and I thought, why not me? Why could I not be one of those lucky ones? I tell you, that kind of thinking, that greedy, impatient mindset, it is a dangerous thing. It blinds you to the risks, makes you deaf to common sense, and whispers sweet nothings about high returns without mentioning the even higher chances of losing everything. I fell for it, hook, line, and sinker. I started dabbling in short-term trading, chasing after every hot stock tip I heard. Someone would mention a company, and without doing any real research, I would just jump in. It felt like playing a video game. Honestly, the numbers would flash, going up and down, and I would get this rush, buy low, sell high. That was the mantra. But I mostly ended up buying high and selling low over and over again. It was exhausting, emotionally draining, and financially devastating. Every time the market dipped, my heart would sink with it. I was constantly checking my phone, my mood swinging wildly with every market fluctuation. It was not investing, it was gambling, pure and simple, and I was not very good at it. Then there were the scams. Oh, the scams. When you are desperate to make money, you become incredibly vulnerable to anyone who promises easy riches. I remember one particular scheme. It promised guaranteed, unbelievably high returns. They had slick presentations, fancy jargon, and testimonials that, looking back, were obviously fake. But at the time, I was so caught up in the fantasy of instant wealth that I ignored all the red flags. I poured a significant chunk of my savings into it, money I had worked incredibly hard for, and of course, it all disappeared. Just like that, gone. It was a brutal lesson in trust, or rather, who not to trust, and a stark reminder that if something sounds too good to be true, it almost certainly is. Another massive mistake was ignoring risk management. I would go all in, putting almost everything into one single investment, thinking it was a surefire winner. This is called concentration risk, and it is a rookie error, one that can wipe you out completely. I had no concept of diversification, no understanding of how important it is to spread your investments across different assets to mitigate potential losses. When that one big bet went south, and it always did, the financial impact was huge. I would be left with almost nothing, wondering how I could have been so naive, so reckless. And the emotional trading, that was probably the worst of it. Fear and greed are powerful forces, and they can make you do incredibly irrational things when it comes to money. I would panic sell when the market dropped, locking in losses, and then FOMO, fear of missing out, would kick in when things started going up, making me buy back in at higher prices. It was a vicious cycle fueled by emotion rather than logic. I was letting my feelings dictate my financial decisions, and my bank account paid the price. Every single time, looking back, it is hard to believe how many times I repeated these mistakes, how many times I let myself get burned before I finally learned. It was not just a few $100s here and there, it was a significant amount of money. Money that represented my hard work, my dreams, my future. The realization that I had squandered so much of it, that I had essentially thrown away my hard-earned savings. It was a very bitter pill to swallow. There were moments of genuine despair, moments where I felt like I would never recover financially, that I was destined to be stuck in this cycle of making and losing money. But that low point, that moment of hitting rock bottom, it was also the turning point. It forced me to stop, to really take a hard look at what I was doing, and to ask myself if this was truly how I wanted to live my financial life. The answer was a resounding no. I was tired of the stress, tired of the constant anxiety, tired of the endless cycle of hope and disappointment. I was tired of chasing after phantom riches, so I decided to change. Completely. I made a conscious decision to abandon the get-rich-quick mentality and embrace a more sensible, more sustainable approach to money. I started educating myself, not from internet gurus promising secrets, but from reputable sources, from books, from articles written by financial professionals. I learned about long-term investing, about compound interest, about the power of consistent, low-risk contributions. I started understanding what diversification actually meant, how to build a portfolio that was resilient, not just flashy. I also had to confront my own psychology. I realized that my desire for instant gratification was a huge part of the problem. I needed to learn patience, discipline, and emotional control when it came to money. It was not easy. It required a complete overhaul of my mindset. a shedding of old, damaging beliefs about wealth and success, but it was absolutely necessary. No, my approach is completely different. I am not looking for the next big thing. I am not trying to beat the market. I am focused on steady, consistent growth, on building a secure financial foundation, brick by painstaking brick. It is not as exciting as the thrill of short-term trading, but it is infinitely more rewarding and much, much less stressful. I focus on saving consistently, on investing in broad market index funds, and on avoiding anything that promises unrealistic returns. It is about playing the long game, not the lottery. My goal now is to share these lessons, these hard-won truths with other young people who might be where I once was. I do not pretend to be a financial guru or an expert. I am just a guy who made a lot of mistakes, learned from them the hard way, and wants to help others avoid the same pitfalls. I want to show you that there is a better way, a more sensible way, to approach your money. For those of you just starting out or feeling overwhelmed by all the conflicting advice out there, here is my fundamental advice, my absolute bottom line. First, understand that there are no shortcuts to wealth. Real wealth is built over time, through consistent effort, smart decisions, and patience. Anyone promising you overnight riches is almost certainly trying to take your money. Walk away, run away from those situations. Second, educate yourself. Learn the basics of personal finance, saving, budgeting, and investing. You do not need a fancy degree, just a willingness to learn. There are so many free resources available online, in libraries. Knowledge is your best defense against scams and bad decisions. Understand what you are investing in, why you are investing in it, and what the potential risks are. Never invest in something you do not fully comprehend. Third, avoid emotional decisions. When the market is volatile, it is easy to panic. Develop a strategy, stick to it, and do not let fear or greed dictate your actions. Set up automated investments so you are consistently putting money away, regardless of market conditions. This is called dollar cost averaging, and it is a powerful tool for long-term investors. Fourth, diversify, diversify, diversify. Do not put all your eggs in one basket. Spread your investments across different asset classes, different industries, different geographies. This reduces your risk significantly. If one investment goes down, the others can help cushion the blow. Fifth, ignore the noise. The financial world is full of opinions, predictions, and sensational headlines. Most of it is just noise. Focus on your own financial goals, your own long-term plan, and do not get swayed by the latest hot trend or the latest market panic. Stay disciplined and focused on your personal journey. And finally, cultivate a healthy money mindset. Money is a tool, not an end in itself, but it should not consume you. Avoid the urge to keep up with the Joneses. Live within your means, save for the future, and enjoy the present. Find contentment in what you have, rather than constantly chasing what you do not. I know it might sound a bit preachy, and that is not my intention at all. This is just me, sharing my painful experiences so that maybe, just maybe, you can learn from my mistakes without having to make them yourself. It is not about being perfect, it is about being intentional, being smart, and being patient with your money. I am not out here trying to sell you anything or convince you to buy a specific product. That is really important to me. My goal is just to share the real story of what it is like to fall into those financial traps and how I managed to dig myself out. I want to help you build a solid financial foundation so you can avoid the pain and stress that I went through. I have come to realize that success in investing is not about finding the secret formula. It is about consistency, patience, and avoiding the big mistakes. It is about understanding that the journey is long and there will be ups and downs, but with a solid plan and a calm mind, you can navigate it successfully. I still work hard, probably harder than ever, but now it is with a different purpose. It is about building something sustainable, something that aligns with my values, and something that can truly help others. I am passionate about sharing these stories, because I believe that if I can prevent even one person from making the same costly mistakes I did, then all those painful lessons were worth it. So if you are feeling lost or overwhelmed by the world of investing, please know that you are not alone. Many of us have been there, myself included. The important thing is to learn, adapt, and keep moving forward. Do not let past mistakes define your future. Instead, let them be the catalyst for smarter decisions and a more secure financial path. Take it from someone who has been there, done that, and bought the very expensive t-shirt of financial regret. Let us learn from each other, support each other, and build a future where we are all a little bit wiser with our money. Thanks for listening, and I will catch you all very soon.